Call or text the show at 573-875-KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Thursday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR, getting closer and closer to a big-time football weekend. Andy Humphrey and Brendan Schaefer here. You can call or text us with your over-unders today as we go through those for the Chiefs against the Giants, the Tigers against the Gamecocks. We also give the best fantasy football advice we can, at least, for Play Fade Eliminates. Here's the advice. Avoid the injuries. Avoid them as much as possible.
Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, that seems to be a real problem, especially at the quarterback position right now. Injuries popping up all the way, and you just hope you make it to the weekend, and those questionable tags in your lineup, as it may be, can dissipate, and your players can be active. That's a start, and then they got to score you points. But we'll do our best at 425 to help you out this weekend with your lineups.
And so we'll go through that. We'll go through the injuries affecting, again, Mizzou and South Carolina, particularly for South Carolina's quarterback. Royals, or I should say Jalen Royals. That's going to be confusing as Jalen Royals starts to play for the Chiefs. Jalen Royals was a full participant in practice today. Something to watch?
Sounds like he's back.
He might be
Seems
back.
pretty simple.
Of course, he is a rookie. He'd be making his debut. I don't know what back means for him. But
back to what? Who knows? But it seems like he's healthy.
We'll find out what that means. We'll have over-unders coming up here for the Chiefs and Giants game in a few minutes. Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com also joins us to talk some Tigers with us at 525. Call or text us here at 875-KTGR. You can see us on YouTube at KTGR Sports right now. We're looking right at you if that's the case. At KTGR Sports, again, to find us on YouTube. We're also on Twitter at KTGR Big Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
So the availability report that came out last night from the South Carolina side says that Lenora Sellers is questionable for the game against Mizzou on Saturday. Still up in the air, but according to the reports that we've seen from mainly ESPN's Pete Thamel, says there is optimism around the availability for one Lenora Sellers on Saturday as the Tigers get set to take on the Gamecocks in their first SEC game of the season. 6 o'clock kick on Saturday. The England Tiger Game Day show begins at 3 p.m. Meanwhile, the Chiefs practice report still has Xavier Worthy limited at practice. Interesting, Jawan Taylor popped up as a limited participant today with a lower body injury. Also, Jalen Royals, full participant today as he tries to work back and debut for the Chiefs as a fifth-round pick rookie. That's the Big Show's big deal on this 18th day of September 2025. You can call or text us here at 875-KTGR here on the Big Show to discuss all the football things, all of the injuries that could be affecting this weekend. I don't know how many the Chiefs could be really held back by in a game against the Giants, but maybe it's more of the conversation of, well, if Xavier Worthy is in fact playing in this game, how effective do you think he will be? It seems that he's trending in a good direction. He still hasn't put a full practice in yet, but I would imagine even if he's working in some capacity tomorrow, that the Chiefs might list him as questionable. But I think he might play this Sunday against the Giants. So if that's the case, I don't know if he has over-unders out just yet for what he could do if he is going to be out there. But how effective do you see him being? How much of an impact can he make after dealing with that shoulder injury over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, and he'll still be dealing with it, to be clear. It's not going to just go away for him, but he's going to, be braced up and have a chance to play through it is sort of the idea. There's not really anything on Worthy on the sportsbook markets, and while we're at it, there's not really anything on the Chiefs passing game because that's a key piece of it, and we don't know whether he will be available or not. So it will kind of be flying by the seat of our pants a little bit with these numbers this week when it comes to Chiefs receiving stuff. But, I mean, look, I don't expect much from Xavier Worthy. I'm looking at some of his last year numbers. Obviously, he became more prominent in the receiving game as the season went along. He scored some touchdowns at the beginning of the year, but wasn't really a full-time fixture at that point, but picked up more work as he went along. By October, he was garnering 6 to 8 targets per game. A little bit of a down spell in November, but picked it back up by the end. And by the end of the season, I mean, we were seeing Xavier Worthy play and see a lot of action in this offense. 7, 6, 11, 11, 9 were the target counts for him to end the regular season. And in last year's postseason, he went 6 targets, 7, and 8 in the Super Bowl. So he was a significant fixture last year. I will set a line at over under 4.5 receptions if he plays. We're going to obviously do all this assuming that he plays. 4.5 receptions feels like about a little bit lower than what he was doing. Again, playoff receptions were 5, 6, and 8 in the Super Bowl from November 29th on. 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he cleared this number every single time the last 8 games or so that he played, including the playoffs. So I'll set it at 4.5 and see what you do with it.
I mean, the thing is, I would like his yards better than his receptions because
think he'll make a splash play.
Yeah,
I'll give you a yardage line, but I'm starting here because I'm trying to work my way across what we're carving out as a script for this game.
So I could say I could easily see it going under and him still working back and certainly not playing as many snaps as he did in the playoffs last year. So that by and large probably limits his reception count, but I still think at least a couple of those receptions can go as explosive plays of potentially 15, 20 yards. And then you're almost to maybe what a yardage number would be, but where would you put the yardage number then?
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
So playoffs last year, 45, 85, 157 in the garbage time Super Bowl. I'll take from, I'll start on the 17th of November where there was a quick spell, and I don't remember if he had an injury or anything, what might have happened in early November. But from the 17th of November on, you got 61, 46, 54, 41, 46, 69, 79 from Xavier Worthy. 54.5.
I like
receiving
the over.
yards.
I like the over, actually.
I feel pretty good about the under, but I have been pretty outspoken the entire time. I don't believe this is going to work. The Chiefs kind of need it to work. And by work, I just mean have Xavier Worthy available, have him being something more than a shell of his former self. Like part of the game plan, you're not extremely limited. It's not that he's running around there and it becomes obvious that he's just a decoy and he's not going to be able to do his Xavier Worthy stuff. Like, well, I think we'll be able to tell that relatively quick in this game, just how conceivable it is that he can play through this injury, not only for 1 week, but for the season. But if it was, 4.5 receptions, 54.5 yards, I'm going under on both until I see it. I am a very big skeptic of this panning out favorably for him with that injury.
But if they're not going to him, who are they going to? That's kind of my question.
Well, that's why I've been a big pessimist about the Chiefs the last handful of days.
It's why I kind of say, look, Xavier Worthy's on the field, use him. I think that's kind of what they'll want to do. What Patrick Mahomes will certainly want to do. And because they're trying, I think they'll do it. I think that they'll at least give him the opportunities to make those catches, design the plays for him. You're on the field, cool. I know you're tolerating some pain.
Separation. I mean, he's got to get open. That's what I'm saying. He's got to be able to do
but how
the stuff that makes him himself.
Shoulder affect that? He's still speedy, right? There's still
I think the shoulder
there.
is probably. I feel like the shoulder is involved in running. You're pumping your arms. You're getting in and out of your breaks. I mean, I think it's a pretty. Again, maybe the brace allows for him to keep everything in place where it needs to be, and he can run all his routes and do all his stuff. I'm going to need to see it first before I would be willing to put it over on just about anything Worthy related. Maybe he scores a touchdown, but you can scheme that for somebody and do that a little more easily than I think you can fake it being viable for a 5 reception, 55-yard game. Like if he goes 5 for 55, I'll be perfectly satisfied, not only as an Xavier Worthy fantasy manager, but as, a Chiefs fan and somebody that knows his importance for what the offense looks to do. Might get into it and play Fate Eliminate coming up. Let's say he's active. Are you playing Xavier Worthy for fantasy? But I think it's a risk because there is that potential that he takes one hit and it goes, oh man, it's not feeling right. And he's back out of the game again. That's kind of what I'm, no pun intended, bracing for when it comes to his role on Sunday night.
And that's always an unknown. And we'll see what the Chiefs decide to do with that and what Xavier Worthy can do. I just see it from a perspective of, look, if he's good enough to be out there, then he's probably taken some hits already in some scenarios. And
I don't know how hard they're hitting in practice, man.
That's what he's out there for, though. Like that's what you got to be ready for. And if he's not ready for that, then I don't know why you would try to put him out there. And so if that's the case,
like you have to find out at game speed against another team to know before you know. It's like that. This has been my take since the beginning of the injury timeline. Is once he's out there, we're gonna learn today. Like we're gonna find out. But until you get him into that game situation, you can't know. That's why I said playing last week doesn't really matter. Playing this week, he's still got a torn labrum. It's not going to change. But there's going to be a point in time where this was always the case. They're going to put him out there and test it. But the test cannot come until the game.
No, I get it. My point is, though, they're going to test it at the point to where they want Xavier Worthy to still be a big part of their offense. And if he's out there, they're going to use him at pretty much the same capacity that they would have wanted to use him before the injury. They're at least going to try to. And that means giving him a bunch of volume and him most likely racking up the yards and then potentially the receptions in that way. So I would think that if he's playing, I don't believe that Patrick Mahomes would feel a whole lot of trust throwing to many other people on that team, I guess, other than Travis Kelce. But even that's kind of a question mark now, right?
You should be careful with that.
You know?
That gives you interceptions
exactly.
when you do that these days.
So...
No, Mahomes is not going to shy away from targeting Xavier Worthy.
Right.
But 8 targets, like a game where he goes 3 receptions and 7 targets for 21 yards feels really on the table for me because I'm skeptical
you think he's not catching the ball?
I think very much that's a possibility. Yeah. Not like his hands are broken and he's going to drop passes necessarily, but when you're bracing for a hit, if he can play at his capacity, it's going to be fine. And they're going to treat him as if he can. They won't know until he gets out there. That's my only point. It's never changed. It's been consistent the whole way through. And I remain hopeful that I'm wrong in my pessimism. But I don't think you can test adequately in a practice session, nor would I think they would try to do it. Like, hey, someone hit Xavier really hard and see what happens. No, that's not what's happening at Chiefs practice. I just refuse to believe that. Now, somebody on Sunday night in East Rutherford is going to try to do that, and we're going to find out how everything holds up. And again, if the labrum's torn, maybe that's the good news. It's like, can you tolerate it from a pain perspective? There's nothing else to be done to it, I don't guess.
Right.
I don't know the answer to that. But, yeah, I think it's a case where, like, if he's not, what's his top speed that he runs regularly on his routes when he's healthy? What is it tomorrow night? What is his crispness with the cuts in his route? What is it tomorrow night? Those sorts of things. Like, Mahomes can target him all he wants, but to see him, what's his yards after catch when he's not dealing with a torn labrum? What is it tomorrow night? Those are the things that I think efficiency is going to be interesting to monitor, and they'll target him, right? It may be that receptions is better than yardage because maybe he gets 5 catches because they're peppering him at the line of scrimmage. But if everything goes because he doesn't have that breakaway capability with the torn labrum, which maybe he will. But until I see it, I'm going to kind of shy away, and I might even be sitting him in fantasy just until I get a glimpse of, okay, yeah, this is going to work. This is going to be, because there's nothing worse than a guy playing 2 snaps and, making a catch, and then it's like, oh, he takes his first real legitimate hit of the week since the injury, and it's like, damn, that hurts more than I thought it would. Like, I don't know what we're going to see.
So if he doesn't lead the Chiefs in receiving yards, who does? Instead of just playing the over-under game, who leads in yards instead?
Kelce or Hollywood Brown. I mean, Hollywood Brown is not a model of efficiency either. But he what did he have, like 16 targets in the first game when Xavier Worthy left injured?
Yeah,
I don't think that's a great recipe for your offense. But like, or if you only need almost 2 bombs to Tyquan Thornton to have the answer be him, because I don't think he's going to be he's kind of like your Justin Watson now. Like, yeah, just run deep and I might hit you a couple times. Going to try, But yeah, I think you're going to have a lot of guys that are in the 40s, 50s, and you hope to get a few guys to 60 when it comes to passing yards in this game.
So with all of that, if you had to set Mahomes' line at something like
now that's something I'm curious.
7.5,
I'm sure they have one. They do
like that.
They have a line. It is at unnamedsportsbook.com 234 and a half.
Okay.
Which is 8 yards higher than Russell Wilson's line of 226 and a half. For whatever that's worth.
He had like close to 500 the other day.
I think he had 1,000 in that overtime game.
Well, I'd have to say over for Patrick Mahomes. That's really the only way the Chiefs can move the ball, right? Yeah.
They can't run the football. They cannot run the ball.
Maybe they can against the Giants. Pitiful. I don't know. Maybe that's your chance.
Yeah, maybe. Let me look at that with NFL run defenses and what the Giants have done so far on the ground, defending the ground.
It's a game where maybe you can find it. All right.
If Isaiah Pacheco can't do it in this game, you can do this one of two ways, actually. You can stick with Pacheco and Hunt as sort of your primaries and say, like, if they can't do it here, we need to readjust how we're looking at this backfield. Or you can say the guy with the most juice might be the 7th-round rookie. Do they give more of a look to Brashard Smith in this game? I would say they probably don't. But what I have prepared for from a fantasy standpoint is I've picked him up on a lot of my benches just to kind of see if this is a favorable matchup where, let's say they give him a handful, they give him 5 carries and he breaks one. And suddenly you go, oh, Isaiah Pacheco is not doing that. Like Kareem Hunt at age 31 or whatever is not doing that. Maybe a month from now, I wouldn't be surprised if Brashard Smith is a bigger part of this. And I would love to see them give him just a little bit of a workload in this game because maybe they find out, in a favorable matchup that he can do it. So we'll see. But to that point, like, I would still go over 234.5 for Mahomes passing. I don't know the receivers that are going to get him there. It's probably a combination of 6 or 7 or 8 guys. But I'm still, even against the Giants, who have really struggled against the run, I am not comfortable going over on anything Isaiah Pacheco related right now. His rushing line is 41.5 yards. For a team that gives up 177 yards per game over the first 2 games, the lead running back of the Chiefs has his line at 41.5. That tells you right there how bad this situation has been.
What's Mahomes' rushing total?
Yeah, honestly, whatever it is.
You have one?
Yeah, I'll go over that. Let me take a look at that. It's only 27.5.
It's at what, 27.5, you said?
Yep.
Well, the hard part about that is that only happens if he is under duress and he has to run it on passing plays. And so, like, if the offensive line gives him the time that he needs to find an open guy, like, then he won't go over that total. Like, he very clearly has shown his running ability because he's almost had to in the last couple of games to do just whatever he needs to do for the Chiefs to win it, and has come up just a little bit short. But for a game like this, you'd have to think that the Chiefs offense will be able to do what they want. And that means that Mahomes should be able to find his guys in the passing game instead of having to extend the play, find the open hole to run through, scramble, get first downs, things like that.
I don't know if I agree with that because we're talking about, well, who's he going to throw the ball to? Clearly, we're both a little bit down on the pass catchers, especially, without Xavier Worth, getting him back maybe helps. But the Giants, I would say the strength of their defense is probably their pass rush. Brian Burns, they're looking for more from the rookie Abdul Carter probably this week. Like they've got some guys on that edge. Brian Burns is a really, he can be a problem. Yeah. And so, like, if there's one aspect, it could be the edge rushers that they could get some pressure. Depends on how the Chiefs O-line performs, but that would be an area where I would say could lead to Mahomes rushing. I like him rushing over 27.5.
That'll be interesting. Call or text us, 875-KTGR, if you have over-unders that you want us to weigh in on for Chiefs-Giants on Sunday night.
Can I give you Malik Neighbors? Because he is the biggest weapon on the other side. It looks like his receiving yardage is at 77.5.
Gosh, that's high. That's a big
He's
one.
A beast. It's high for a reason. I think he went over 200 last week, potentially. I got to go look at, see how he finished up. No, 167 and 2 touchdowns in that marathon against the Cowboys.
I think less of a conversation about Malik Neighbors and more one about Russell Wilson. How do the Chiefs do against him? more specifically. Because if he's still struggling, like I get it, Neighbors is the one guy, he's the go-to, and he could probably still reach the total anyway. But
you're saying when it comes to like the Chiefs winning the game, Neighbors could hit 80, 90 yards, and that doesn't mean the Chiefs are in trouble necessarily.
Well, that's correct. Like he could get his yards, and it means the Chiefs still are able to move up and down the field against the Giants defense. But my question is, like, because the Chiefs have a bit of a book on Russell Wilson as to how he has played against them in their division last couple of years, do they know how to take away certain things for him, maybe in particular his top weapon, and then he's got to go to other guys? That'd be how I maybe try to think about it.
I don't think you can take away Malik Neighbors. I think he's a top 5 wide receiver in the league today. So like you know, when the Chiefs play,
well, you could hold him to 50 instead of 80. That's something you can do.
You can, and that'll be a decision that Spagnuolo has to make of like, all right, approaching this game, who are we comfortable letting beat us? Because they always want to stop the run and then, you know, be aggressive when they can to try to, you know, make things difficult on the opponent in the passing game. I just think if I'm the Giants and approaching it from the other perspective, I am always trying to get Malik Neighbors involved. He needs double-digit targets every single game, no matter what. I mean, no matter what. He's just that special. But like a Wan'Dale Robinson went off last week as well. So if a team tries too hard to hyper, you know, fixate on one guy, you know, Russell Wilson at least showed he put up 37 points on the Cowboys. They didn't win the game, but that was more about the Giants defense. Over the years, I'm looking at Russell Wilson's games against the Chiefs. You know, like you said, they've seen plenty of him. Twice a year when he was with Denver. He played him last year when he was on Christmas Day with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
And, that 226.5 number, he's gone under that his last 4 times playing the Chiefs. Only his first game in Denver back in December of 22 did Wilson go over that number against the Chiefs. Obviously, he's with a different team now, but that was true across his time with Denver and with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So 226.5. You know, Russell Wilson had 168 passing yards in the first game. He had 450 last week. So pick a lane. I think the Chiefs can reasonably hold him down. My concern would be for that number is in a situation where the Chiefs are, you know, leading by a touchdown or whatever, he's going to have to keep trying to throw. I think the Chiefs can hold down this running game. I don't think Cam Scatterbu or Tyrone Tracy is neither of them to me are in for. They're not the type of running backs that you brace for like a Saquon Barkley.
No. So
I wouldn't be shocked by 230 passing yards from Russell Wilson, but I don't think it's prescriptive for anything dangerous from Kansas City's side.
Right. And if you try to factor in how much of that is due to them hitting a big moon ball or two to Malik Neighbors down the field, which could happen, how willing will the Chiefs be able to, or how able will they be to take at least one of those away, that one less than maybe he got the week before, so that you're keeping his yardage at bay. But I'd say for Russell Wilson, I think he's a slightly under that number. And for Neighbors, you know, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have a good day. Like 60, 70 yards would still be good, but I think that's probably where he finishes at.
I think the Chiefs might do their due diligence to say you might not be able to keep the ball out of Neighbors' hand, but if he has 8 catches for 60 yards, and you swarm, you know, you've got safety help, you're swarming to him after he makes the catch so he can't juke an entire team, that might be a reasonable way to approach it. Yeah, so I could see a game like that for him.
Call or text us with your over-unders for Chiefs and Giants, 875-KTGR here on The Big Show. If you want to give us some to weigh in on, we'll play the same game with the Tigers and Gamecocks coming up this weekend on Saturday at Faurot Field. But up next, try to help out your fantasy football lineups that are probably riddled by injuries this week with Play, Fade, Eliminate next on The Big Show.
This the latest edition of The Big Show. Catch up on demand with a full show podcast on the KTGR app. Download it now, wherever you get your apps.
Hello there. This is Quentin with JQ's On High in Jefferson City. We are looking for skilled and passionate hospitality team members who can bring both front-of-house charm and back-of-house know-how to our unique food service operation. We offer competitive pay plus tips, a fun work environment, and we welcome your creative input on our made-from-scratch menu. If you are dependable, love great food and great people, apply in person today at JQ's On High and be a part of something special here in Central Missouri.
Drove your new Defender on 63. Got in a fender bender with an FUV. No need to shout. Don't go crazy. Just get your phone out. Call FPP. To do all the work with your insurance company. 1, call the number. 2, take it in. 3, get your car back like new again. Take it from me, they make it hassle-free. You can't go wrong with the easy 3. Just a 1, 2, 3 with FPP. FPPBodyShop.com.
Winter's on the way, so now's the time to plan your tree pruning. Here's why. In winter, trees are dormant, which means there's less risk of disease. Plus, without all those leaves, it's way easier to see exactly what needs trimming. The educated, licensed, insured, and experienced crew at Advanced Tree Solutions knows how to protect your trees and your wallet. But spots are filling fast, so schedule your winter pruning today at AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com. Advanced Tree Solutions, LLC. Your tree's best friend.
On game day, every needs a. And every tailgate needs Kingsford charcoal. And a match. Whatever lot you're in, whatever you're grilling up for your fellow Tiger tailgaters, Kingsford charcoal is the official charcoal of Missouri football. Without it, you're just standing around in a parking lot. Since 1920, Kingsford has been proud to fire up your tailgates with friends and family. Kingsford.com.
It was 2:30 on a Tuesday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing answered the call. It was a dismayed wife. Fresh off vacation, her and her hubby came home to a wrecked water heater. It had sprung a leak, a bad one. So while the plumbing team took care of that leaky water heater, Brian's certified restoration guide, Josh, with 2 decades of experience, came in to restore the area and stop mold in its tracks. Another day, another job, another expert added to the team. Ho-hum. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com. Epic Bug Battle Raps. Brown Recluse versus Tick. Fight.
Yo, Tick, you think you're sly, but you're an amateur fighter. I'm a brown recluse spider, spitting venom, cause I'm a better biter. You codependent loser, latching on skin. I wish we were related. You a lame arachnid. So sit back and relax while I bust on your bloodbath. I weave a web of truth. You're just needing a feeding and getting fat. Be ready for defeat when we meet, cause all it takes to kill you is a couple minutes inside a dryer on high heat. Listen, Charlotte, while you're weaving your web, I'll be burying my body inside another host to go and get fed. You want to talk dead? Who are you? Once you're found, all a human has to do is grab a shoe. Now you're squished, you won't be missed in your wish. Instead of 6 eyes, you had 9 lives and carry disease like Lyme. When people pop their shirts off and come looking for me, who's really the better bug when it comes to hide and seek?
Hi, I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problem. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
Well, if you want to weigh in on over-unders for the Chiefs and Giants or Mizzou-South Carolina this weekend, call or text us here at 875-KTGR. You can give us a stat, tell us whether that guy's going over or under their total this weekend. And we'll see what it looks like for Chiefs-Giants on Sunday night. Again, the injury updates. Jalen Royals, full practice for the Chiefs. That's good news. Xavier Worthy, still limited. And the 2 defensive starters that were out last week, Christian Fulton and Mike Dana, both still did not practice, not trending the right direction for them at least. But, I mean, there's so many other injuries to worry about when it comes to fantasy football. I keep getting nightmares that we're going to see one pop up every single day. And sure enough, nightmare came true today. Tucker Kraft, what do you know? Just back in.
I have seen that this is not I've seen it reported that it's not a long-term concern, but that Tucker Kraft did suffer a left knee injury today during practice. And the first thing I did when I saw that is I ran to my fantasy football trade offers and deleted 2 offers that I had sent to Andy Humphrey.
Yeah.
That would have included him getting Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce from me in trades that involved Tucker Kraft until we get more information. So, yeah, I mean, it was sitting there for days. Andy could have had the duo, the Hall of Fame duo themselves with Mahomes and Kelce. He didn't want it. He wanted Tucker Kraft, I guess. I don't know.
No. Well, I did because
there in
Tucker
his
Kraft.
inbox.
I was thinking that I was going to be downgrading a tight end. I didn't want to do that.
You would have been. You would have been, but you did lose Joe Burrow. So I was like, Mahomes,
Lost
Kelce.
Joe Burrow, but
Yeah.
I picked up Jordan Love, and I'm fine. I didn't.
Okay.
I'm good. So.
You could have the courtesy to decline the trade. I was like, crap, I know I offered for Tucker Kraft. In which of my 12 leagues did I offer for Tucker Kraft? I have to delete it because what if somebody unsavory decides to accept the offer after his injury? And then it's always in the last place you look. I looked in the league where Andy and I are in it, and sure enough, there it was. And so I deleted those just to be on the safe side.
Dang. Guess I missed my opportunity. Oh, well.
Well, you know.
Heck, there's always next time, right? Whenever that
There
happens.
will always be a next time when it comes to injuries and trades.
Yeah. Involving you, which I have lost out
Involving
on a big
me.
trade in the past.
I don't
That's
know.
why I don't trade with you anymore.
I think you win some, you lose some, you know? Can't help injuries.
That really irked me, but either way, we'll get to it.
I don't even remember it.
It
but
was
I just
the
fired
Derrick
so many
Henry
shots
one,
on net.
man. It was years ago.
Was there a
but
Derrick
I
Henry
still
one?
Don't.
He's like Derrick Henry was a rookie, but I still hate you for it. I don't remember. I'm sure
it wasn't.
happened,
No, it wasn't even that. It was just I thought that I was getting some value back from Derrick Henry with the Titans. This was not when he was with the Ravens.
Oh, with the Titans. Okay.
Yeah,
so it has been some time.
Yeah. So that was the case there. But no matter. All
right. I'll start calling you John Mozeliak. Just afraid to make another trade because you didn't have one go your way. Dang.
No, my
Shots
best
fired.
days are behind me when it comes to fantasy football. That's why.
Oh, nuts.
That's why.
Nuts.
All right, let's get to it.
It's time to play Fade or Eliminate.
Either way, lots of obstacles already to deal with. We haven't even gotten to bye weeks yet, and all these injuries piling up, making people a little bit nervy maybe about your fantasy teams, but we'll try to help you out. Brendan, more specifically, because he lives for this stuff. Play Fade Eliminate.
I do.
Here on the Big Show, K2GR. Give us some players. Tell us whether you should play them, fade them, or eliminate them. And you can text in 573-875-KTGR here to weigh in. You can also comment on our YouTube channel at KTGR Sports to give us a question for fantasy football at the same time. All right, David's back.
Yeah.
David's back.
Always.
He says he survived starting Jaden Reed at Brendan's advice. Jaden Reed out.
You can't help injuries. You cannot help injuries. You know how he got hurt on an end zone target early in the game?
Mm-hmm.
They were going to feature him. I can't help that. Can't help that the guy, he had 2 surgeries at the same time. He's so injured. Jaden Reed got a 2-for-1 special on the collarbone and the foot at the same time. 1 anesthesia, 2 surgeries. That's my luck when it comes to my recommendations. So be careful out there, listeners, but I will try to help you.
Well, his question's on quarterbacks this week because he had Joe Burrow, and now he needs a replacement for Joe Burrow. So,
Jordan Love. I hear Jordan Love is a good replacement. It worked enough for Andy.
Worked enough for now, right? Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
He's not listed in this list that David gives.
Okay.
His list is Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson, and Michael Penix.
It's kind of a gross list, but I think you can find some fantasy value from said list. Falcons at Panthers feels like sneaky, ugly shootout. I mean, the Panthers-Cardinals game got to 49 points last week, but on the road, a little bit of a skeptic there. And the Panthers aren't very good. What we saw with the Falcons against the Minnesota Vikings this past week was Falcons got up and they just stopped throwing the ball. So if you had Penix, you didn't get the game script you were hoping for. Can the Panthers? I think the Falcons' defense is better than people think. So that might actually be my eliminate here, just to kind of be careful about things. Russ Wilson could give you. Actually, no. Russ Wilson's my eliminate. The Chiefs are desperate. You know what? He could put up some points. Certainly, there's garbage time possibility, but the risk of a dud, I think, is high here. Like Andy, if the Chiefs have an ugly game and they win it 17-6, is anyone going to be stunned by that? I'm not.
No.
So I play my Malik Neighbors. I'm not ever going to sit him, but I'm not going out of my way to look for a reason to start Russell Wilson. He had a great game last week. Oftentimes, unless he's going to win the MVP, he's not going to do that every single week. So he's my eliminate. My fade is Penix. I'll play Daniel Jones. You're getting rushing upside. You're getting 3 or 4 pass catchers that he can distribute the football to. I have bought in. You had Daniel Jones still in your bottom 5 quarterbacks when we did the top 5, bottom 5 yesterday. I didn't. I am happy to start Daniel Jones if I'm a Joe Burrow manager that lost him this week. Absolutely. Fire him up. He's my play.
You might have numbers. Doesn't make him a good quarterback. That's why these are different sports. These are different sports, man. Fantasy football versus real football. Yeah.
2 different games. Yep, 100%.
But, maybe Daniel Jones out of that list is the best option there. We'll see.
He'll get you 30 rushing yards. He'll probably run in a touchdown. Like, he's been very, very fine for fantasy for 2 weeks. Better than fine.
All right, let's go now to running backs. Play, fade, eliminate. Ramondre Stevenson, Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins.
These are all guys in like the very same bucket, like older players that have a rookie behind them that you expect to take over at some point. Maybe not in the case of Chubb. Woody Marks is the rookie out of USC.
Chubb's the placeholder for Joe Mixon. That's
for Mixon, who is never playing football again. So that's tough. Right. You're not going to see Joe Mixon. They're playing the Jaguars. Chubb, Jaguars had a high-scoring game last week. Stroud has not really been able to throw the ball a bunch, so they'll try to continue to run Chubb. And Chubb looks good. Like, I've always liked Nick Chubb, except for that one day, 34-0. Remember, we thought Todd Gurley was, since he was suspended, we were going to beat Georgia, Mizzou.
Yeah, it turns out Georgia has good players everywhere, right?
They had other running backs. Who knew?
Right?
Nick Chubb ran for 400 yards or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I never forgive him for that. But right. I root for Nick Chubb. He's been through a lot, and I think he's actually surprisingly healthy after all those injuries. So I'm not afraid to start him. It feels like the clock, even though Ramondre had a big, long reception last week, it was very funny to hear Mike Vrabel on a podcast say, in practice, that play was supposed to go to Travion Henderson, but he, had a fumble or something, so it worked out for Ramondre. And it's like, I don't know that Ramondre holds him off forever. Steelers, I always think they're going to be having a good defense, and so I'm not totally into Ramondre. And who was the other guy? I talked through 2 guys, and
J.K.
I forget
Dobbins.
who the third guy was.
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, he might just be the play so far. He has had good fantasy numbers. He has held off, what's his name, R.J. Harvey, to this point. Mm-hmm. I'm probably playing him, and I'm fading Chubb, and Ramondre, I'm going to eliminate. It's probably wrong, but I'm looking for upside, and I think eventually Travion Henderson's going to take over. And that the week that it happens, I don't want to be left with Ramondre Stevenson not seeing the field. So I think that's the way that I generally lean here. Although this whole time I've been talking, I was scrolling. Broncos play at the Chargers. I don't know. If it's PPR, more on Ramondre if it's PPR. But otherwise, I think Dobbins is the guy that, eventually Harvey will take over, but I think Sean Payton's perfectly satisfied with what he's seen from Dobbins.
875-KTGR if you want to call or text us for fantasy football questions during Play, Fade, Eliminate. I think we have one here on the KTGR hotline. Hello, who's this?
This is Hank.
Hank,
how you doing?
Hank, do you have a fantasy football question for us?
Yeah, I want to know what's the best quarterback besides the top 3? Jackson, Allen, and whoever else the third one besides the top 3.
Patrick Mahomes, was that from yesterday? The top 3 or top 5, bottom 5 quarterbacks?
That's not really a fantasy.
Yeah, it's not a fantasy question, but what else was your question on that? Maybe it is. Oh, well, he's gone.
Well, he's leaving. Let's answer it like it was a fantasy question. I think Jalen Hurts should be, Mahomes is not a top 3 fantasy quarterback.
No.
Top 3 real quarterback.
Right.
But not a top 3 fantasy quarterback. We've seen Jaden Daniels. He would be in that conversation because of his rushing upside. But he's banged up this week as well. Mariota may have to start for the Commanders. I would say Jalen Hurts because of the dang tush push. It doesn't get you many yards, but if it's goal to go from the 1 yard line, who's scoring more often than not. Hurts. So that's the answer for me.
Yeah, if he's not in the top 3 of all fantasy football quarterback rankings, I don't know what you're doing. He's 4 on ESPN. What's that? What's that all about?
Rattle off the
top
8.
3.
I'm just curious what it says.
Okay.
Is this for this week?
It's for this week. this week.
Okay.
Josh Allen is number 1. Lamar.
Sure, he always should be.
Yeah,
Lamar
I mean,
should be
rushing total
Yeah.
2. Lamar is number 2. Jaden Daniels is number 3.
If he plays,
If he
absolutely
plays.
rushing.
Jalen Hurts is number 4. Very interesting. Patrick Mahomes number 5. He's getting some love.
I don't see that for me. I mean, the Giants defense is not strong. We saw success that Dak Prescott and company had, but I'm a little worried about the pass catchers right now for Mahomes. Where's Daniel Jones on that list?
Daniel Jones
Because
is 10.
I think,
10.
Okay, so I mean, just to say, if you're in a 12-person league, it's to say that Daniel Jones could be, very startable this week.
Oh yeah.
If you're looking for a replacement.
Play Fade Eliminate. Text in your questions to us for fantasy football, 573-875-KTGR. Evan texting in Cooper Kupp or Keon Coleman for a flex.
Oh boy, Cooper Kupp had a nice game last week, and I was happy to see that because I was kind of wondering if it was maybe over for him. It seems like he can still get involved. Seahawks got a lot of guys that they're trying to get the ball to. I don't think the Seahawks will be in a negative game script against the Saints, so they'll probably maybe run the ball more than they pass it. But Keon Coleman, and it's a Thursday night guy, so don't flex him. I'll go Coleman this week. I think that tonight's game surprises people a little bit. Either it's more competitive than people think. It's a big double-digit point spread against the Dolphins for the Bills. And it's more competitive, meaning Josh Allen has to keep throwing, and Keon Coleman could be a beneficiary of that. Or it's, a blowout in which Keon Coleman put up a bunch of points. So either way, I don't mind Keon Coleman tonight, and I think better game script potentially than what you're going to get with Cooper Kupp.
Okay. Jason, we asked to talk a little bit about this during over-unders, but Jason wants to know between the Giants running backs, Scattaboo or Tracy.
Good luck. I think Tracy's banged up a little bit this week. It's probably Scattaboo, as much as I am loath to admit it. My line on Scattaboo has been he is Cody Schrader with better PR, because I feel like they did the same stuff in their last year of college. And for whatever reason, Scattaboo got drafted and Cody.
Well,
didn't.
Scattaboo went to the playoff. That's why.
Well, yeah, but that's better
because
PR.
Because he's in a worse conference and they won the conference.
Mizzou,
that's why he's in.
Mizzou won the Cotton Bowl, but it didn't help Cody Schrader.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I
so anyway, Scattaboo's the Giants showed last week that I may end up wrong on Scattaboo. I was not drafting him anywhere. And earlier than I anticipated, they gave him some opportunities. And so that would if I'm starting one of the two because of Tracy's injury. But in PPR, I would just keep in mind, Tracy's probably a better pass catcher still.
That's fair enough. We'll see what that looks like. Play Fade Eliminate here on the Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. Vince texting in for an RB2, Zach Charbonnet, RJ Harvey, or Dylan Sampson.
I would go Charbonnet as my play. Sampson the fade, Harvey the eliminate. You're not eliminating him from your roster. I will not start RJ Harvey until the breakout game, and the breakout game will come. There will come a game where, and Sean Payton is the biggest liar in football, where people ask him why didn't you give the ball to this guy? He's like, yeah, we really need to do that. And it's we're all looking for the guy who did this. You decide who, gets the carries in your offense. So until kind of the inverse of me saying, yes, I would play Dobbins this week, I'm going to trust that it's Dobbins and I'll get burned one time on it, and then I'll never play Dobbins again. But the next week is when I'm starting to play RJ Harvey every single week. He'll have a game where he splashes enough that it's clear he's going to be the guy moving forward, or at least in a timeshare. But right now, I can't count on him playing enough to be the one. Charbonnet had 15 or 20 carries last week, but it was about the same number of yards. It's just a very weird game, but lots of good coach speak in his favor. And I think, again, they play the Saints, so they're probably ahead, which means more running plays. So I like Charbonnet. Harvey's the fade. The other guy was the eliminate. I forget. Oh, Sampson. Quinshon Judkins is here. So actually, Sampson's the fade. You could get away with playing him in a pinch, but Harvey's the eliminate for the time being. Judkins, though, is going to get more run than Sampson. The Sampson fun was fun while it lasted.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe down the road, you can get Dylan Sampson.
He's a good player. He was good at Tennessee. It'll be a two-headed monster, but Judkins is going to be the 1A there, I think. Jerome Ford is who you can probably drop. Try to trade him first, but
True.
It's over for him.
Yeah. 875 KTGR. You can still text in to us if you have fantasy football questions. You can leave comments on our YouTube channel as well at KTGR Sports. In the meantime, we have Under the Bus coming up next. Buddy, maybe check the picture once, twice, 3 times before posting. Kyler Murray, that's next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. The availability reports mandated by the SEC came in last night, the first initial report at least, and South Carolina quarterback Lenoris Sellers listed as questionable on that report. There will be updates to it tonight, tomorrow night, and 90 minutes prior to game time on Saturday for Sellers' status. Reports are saying, though, that there is optimism around his availability as the Gamecocks come to Columbia, Missouri to take on the 23rd-ranked Missouri Tigers. 6 p.m. kickoff from Faurot Field on Saturday. The Yuengling Tiger Game Day show begins at 3 p.m. right here on KTGR. Baseball from this afternoon. Royals fell in the rubber game to the Mariners, 2-0 the final score. They dropped to a game under 500. Their final regular season home series will be this weekend against the Blue Jays. Cardinals off today. They also close out their home schedule this weekend as they host the Milwaukee Brewers. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Shangri-La Dispensaries, with 2 locations in Columbia and 1 in Jefferson City. Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. Visit them at shangriladispensaries.com.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking the potential for a few strong storms tonight that could produce up to 60-mile-per-hour winds and some small hail. Rain will continue as our severe threat diminishes overnight. We'll see temperatures falling into the low 60s. Tomorrow, it's a little bit cooler. We'll have partly cloudy skies, a mostly dry day with high temperatures in the low 80s. We could see a few more showers and storms on Saturday. A lot of dry time during the day with highs in the mid-80s. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Chiefs Kingdom lives here.
This is the Chiefs Kingdom. Touchdown! Kansas City!
Tune in every Monday night at 6 for the Chiefs Kingdom Show, hosted by the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holtis. Hear from head coach Andy Reid and your favorite Chiefs players all season long. After every game, enter the doors to the Chiefs Kingdom. Monday nights at 6, powered by Macadoodles, Steve's Pest Control, and your total sports station for all things Chiefs. KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for ProfitShares.com. Make sure you enter into that Profit Picks contest for this week for either college or pro football as we get closer to the game starting again. Each and every week, you can enter into those contests at ProfitShares.com. It's totally free to play. You make your picks, and the more you get right, the more you rise up that leaderboard, and the more points you can win that you can redeem for gift cards to your favorite restaurants or charitable donations for your favorite causes. But that's just one part on what you can find at ProfitShares.com. They've got other great contests that you can enter into, of course, for football, but also for baseball as we get closer to postseason there. Be sure to lock in at ProfitShares.com. Again, if you want a risk-free way to make your sports picks and potentially win some nice prizes on that, it is all at ProfitShares.com. So go and sign up now. That's PROPHET shares.com. Show off your sports knowledge now at ProfitShares.com.
Hi, I'm Tristan Colon, Mizzou grad and 6-year NFL veteran.
I'm Charlie Stickland.
And I'm Sarah Stickland-McDonald of the Stickland & Stickland Injury Law Firm.
In football, home field advantage can make all the difference.
The same is true when choosing your injury lawyer.
We're locals. We know the courts, we know the towns, we know the people.
Just as I protect my team on the field,
our family will protect your family.
When sorry just doesn't cut it.
Push back with Stickland & Stickland.
You know that old driver in the corner of your garage? The one half jammed into an old golf bag that's now serving as a spider hotel? Yeah, somebody wants that driver, you know. Play it against sports. They'll pay you for the gear you're not using. Golf equipment, fitness gear, baseball, softball, and more. Bring it in and cash out, or upgrade to something you need for the upcoming season. Play it against sports once your used equipment. They need it. So don't sit on it, swing on it. Play it against sports in Columbia. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play it against sportscolumbiamo.com.
before the sun comes up and long after it sets. ABC 17 News and Storm Track Weather keep working for you, gathering the information your family needs to take on the day, alerting you to breaking news and health and safety concerns in our area, plus tracking the latest weather conditions to help you plan ahead. It's everything you need to know from the team you trust most. ABC 17 News and Storm Track Weather, where the news comes first.
Darling, may I have a refill on my coffee?
Sure thing, babe. You like this brew?
Delicious. What is it?
It's Cafe Caldi.
Caldi's coffee from St. Louis? I love stopping by their cafes.
Yeah, I saw on their website. Last year, they were voted the #1 Reader's Choice in USA Today. A local family-owned coffee company beat all the big chains. I can really taste the difference.
Discover what makes coffee roasted in Missouri different when you visit Caldi'sCoffee.com and enjoy their full selection of blends and unique coffees from around the world. Caldi's Coffee. Great coffee since 1994.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
Hey, this is Jimmy with Pro Designs, and maybe you've heard we're the vehicle wrap specialist, but branding your business doesn't stop there. At Pro Designs, we can wrap your walls, windows, even floors.
Go to ProDesigns.com.
Come see them at their locations in Eldon or Columbia off Rangeline Street and I-70.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brendan on The Big Show on KTGR.
Again, always think before you post, and that's the lesson I'm sure Kyler Murray learned. Yesterday, he apologized for the photos that he put up on his socials recently. They've been taken down, obviously, now. But he's taking a picture with his pit bull. That's nice. I believe it was for some promotion, or maybe it was just because he wanted to take pictures with his pit bull. Either way, the tough part was that Kyler Murray was wearing a Virginia Tech Michael Vick jersey. Yeah.
That he was. I don't know how it could have been anything other than intentional. I don't know what the point was, but did he say it was a coincidence that I just happened to be wearing the Michael Vick jersey with the picture of the pit bull? I can't fathom he would. That had to have just been why he was doing it. I don't know.
That would seem a little sinister. I don't feel like that. I don't think that was the case. I think this was an honest mistake.
So he wakes up in the morning, he's looking in his closet, he goes, I'm gonna wear the Mike Vick Virginia Tech jersey today. And he goes, hey Buster, come over here. I'm gonna take a picture. That's a pretty good photo. I'm gonna post it.
Right.
Just organically?
But no, I understand that it's hard for us to realize that. But here's the thing, Michael Vick, that's obviously the thing that he is most known for, but I don't think each and every day of what Michael Vick is known for. And so, it's not something that I would.
When I think of Michael Vick, it is the first thing that comes to mind, and I don't think I am alone with that.
No, I'm not saying that that's the case, but Kyler Murray thinks about a whole lot of things other than the history of Michael Vick. And so, that's kind of where
But he's wearing the jersey.
No, I'm not trying to excuse him for it. He needed to apologize. He did, and it
wasn't on purpose.
No, I don't think it was on purpose.
Maybe not, but it's a hell of a coincidence.
Sure.
I guess it's not as much a coincidence if you happen to own a pit bull and maybe it was laundry day and that was the only thing that was clean. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
Here's my thing. To take the picture is one thing. To not make the connection as you're posting it. Now, maybe his team is accessing his account. I don't know. Maybe he's got but that nobody goes, that one thing that Michael Vick was kind of infamous for after his playing days? Yeah, maybe this isn't the picture to post. I can't believe nobody made that connection before that gets to
somebody
Instagram.
Probably did, but again, Kyler Murray is probably the one that was posting it himself, and
I need the whole oral history of how that came
No,
to
I'm
be.
sure.
I know he apologized.
It's wild, but
it is wild.
Yeah, I mean,
first Pat Murphy reads a letter from a dead guy that he didn't actually write, and now Kyler Murray, the one picture, if you were to say, hey, of all the pictures that somebody shouldn't post, about Michael Vick, what would be the one? Probably in his jersey with a pit bull. I don't know. Okay, here we are. Goodness.
A little bit, not really a surprise, but kind of sudden because we're towards the end of the season, but Clayton Kershaw's retiring at the end of this season. It's almost over. I suppose he'll be in the clubhouse and everything for when they're in the playoffs and helping the team through that. Maybe he's on the roster. I don't know. But, yeah, this will be it for Clayton Kershaw in the playing days at least. That's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and what a career for him.
Yeah, and not surprising. I don't think that the last appearance he had at Busch Stadium, it kind of had a little bit of that extra juice to it where you felt like that was probably, Cardinals, Dodgers had some good rivalries over the years involving Kershaw. And so that one was one where I think we kind of felt it in that moment, but now having it confirmed, yeah, heck of a career, no doubt.
Oh, first ballot Hall of Famer. That's for sure. We'll see when the first chance, I'm sure, will be probably 2030. And see how Clayton Kershaw finishes out the career over the next few weeks or so. Over-unders for Mizzou-South Carolina. We'll weigh in on those at 5:05. And Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com gives his take on this game coming up this weekend at 5:25.
Update and beautify your home with Sherwin-Williams pre-finished siding from Menards. LP SmartSide siding is durable and comes ready to install. Available in 13 timeless colors, it's machine applied for a professional look and coverage. That means no painting and no hassle for years to come. Save big money in all Sherwin-Williams pre-finished siding now at Menards. Plus, view our weekly flyer for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
My name is Caroline, and I would highly recommend True Sun Exteriors and Interiors. Our house was built in 1980, and it had the original cedar siding. The wildlife in our yard were tag teaming it. The woodpeckers would start, and then the next thing you know, we would have squirrels in the walls. When we met with True Sun, they suggested we make the switch to LP Smart Siding because it would be more resilient against the weather that we have, and also it would keep those squirrels out of the house. When I went to the showroom, they were so happy to answer all of my questions. The support from all levels of this project has been great. True Sun is a company that really cares about the quality of the work that they're doing. They really want the results to be lasting, they want the results to look good, and they want you to be happy with it.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
1851 Underground is one of those cool joints the family would enjoy going, even if the food wasn't good. But it is good, really good. Famous burgers like the 1851, topped with pulled pork and hickory bacon, or the fire and ice chicken sandwich with Cholula honey and pepper jack cheese. The Baja fish tacos with crispy fried cod and avocado cream sauce is another favorite. It's not a secret, but it is underground. 1851 Underground in the historic Brick District in Fulton. Find them on Facebook and Instagram.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
I'm Nick DeLuca. Clayton Kershaw calling it a career. Future Hall of Famer announcing he will retire at the end of the season. 11-time All-Star, spent 18 years with the Dodgers. His 222 victories, second only to Don Sutton in franchise history. Became the 20th pitcher in baseball history to reach 3,000 career strikeouts. His 2.54 ERA, the lowest of any pitcher in the live ball era since 1920. He'll be Hall of Fame eligible in 2031. Dodgers with a chance to extend their NL West lead tonight against the Giants. Padres falling 2.5 games behind LA with a 6-1 rubber game loss to the Mets this afternoon. Pete Alonso with a solo homer, his 37th of the season. Brandon Nimmo going deep as well. New York now 2 up on the D-backs for the final NL wild card. In the NFL, Packers tight end Tucker Kraft dealing with a knee injury he suffered in practice today, was added to the injury report, undergoing tests to determine severity. Packers are optimistic it's not a long-term injury.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, we offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options to cover your small business needs and more. Visit Progressive.com today.
From Faro. 15 to the 10, to the house. Bush. Back to the wall, and it's got her. And Arrowhead. Touchdown! Kansas City! To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
I'm checking on it right now, but this week of Mizzou-South Carolina game lead-up has materialized kind of the way that I expected. The point spread now down to Mizzou minus 9.5. It was 13.5 at one point. But we're not talking too much about the point spread today. We will go with Mizzou-South Carolina over-unders. Player stats for that matchup on Saturday night. That's all coming up here in just a few minutes. And then at 5:25, we'll chat with Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com for some insight on the matchup between the Tigers and the Gamecocks. 573-875-KTGR to give us a call or a text on the show today. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
First availability report from the SEC says that Lenora Sellers is questionable for the game on Saturday between Mizzou and South Carolina. Take of that what you will. We've talked all week about how much do we really believe the availability reports are giving the accurate depiction of the situation. Several reports out there are saying that Sellers is that everyone is optimistic about Sellers' availability for this weekend's game against the Tigers. So I think it is right to at least assume or prepare that that's who the Tigers are going to be facing. We'll see for sure. There will be more updates to the availability reporting, but for now, questionable on Sellers. 6 o'clock kickoff on Saturday between Mizzou and South Carolina.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
On the Chiefs injury front, Xavier Worthy still limited in practice. Jalen Royals put in a full practice today, though, as he looks to make his debut for the Chiefs at some point, hopefully this week, the way things are trending. Still no practice for Mike Dana or Christian Fulton, though, on the defensive side. Still a concern there. Chiefs trying to get that first win, and boy, do they need it week 3 as they visit the Giants. And we'll see how effective Xavier Worthy can be if, in fact, he is playing this weekend.
Number 3.
Interesting, the SEC, according to multiple reports, is going to reveal on Tuesday the permanent opponents for everybody in the conference based on the 9-game schedule that they will expand to starting next year. Now, according to Brandon Marcello of CBS Sports, he says the 3 permanent rivals will be referred to as annual opponents, which will be reviewed every 4 years. So while they will be playing every single season during that time span, it could be looked at again and potentially altered. We'll see who that means for Mizzou. I would have to think, if it were me, I would say Oklahoma, Arkansas, and South Carolina need to be their permanents. We'll see what the league comes up with.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
This was kind of a scary situation and kind of odd that it pops up this week, of course. Connor Shaw was hospitalized late last night after coaching his son's football game. Unsure on what the condition is. There is good news on that. He is in stable condition. Of course, we have bad memories as Mizzou fans, of course, of Connor Shaw, but we obviously hope that he is okay and hope that family is doing well.
Number 5.
Where's the 5 fingers? Say to the face. Slap.
Don't think I've seen this in baseball yet, but today the Mariners challenged on a defensive shift and they won.
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
875-KTGR. If you want to call or text us, this came at the Royals' expense this afternoon. They were trying to claw back into a 1-0 game, top of the 8th inning, and the Mariners had a guy ground out for the second out of the inning, and Michael Massey was deemed to be on the grass when the ball was hit, and you can't do that now. You have to be on the dirt. And so the Mariners challenged it. They won. He got first base. The batter did, and then 2 batters later, RBI double, and they add to the lead. I had never seen that before, actually.
What's interesting is that it doesn't come into play. The reason that it happens more rarely, it doesn't come into play until a ball is hit to the player that is, in violation, right? You can't, if you're the old other manager, you could notice it happening, but until that player fields the ball, it's not really something that comes into play. The umpire it's not like a balk where the umpire says, "Hey, you were over the line." Right. It's a whatever. It's not the case. That's the way it has to happen. And so it is one of those things that we've definitely noticed from the press box at times where we go, man, Mason Wynn really looks like he's on the other side. But it's one of those things where, can you get away with it? It's more interesting when it's hit to that player, as you said, was in this instance. And then, okay, did the other manager notice? And in this case, I suppose that was what happened. So yeah, it doesn't happen often, but it does seem at times that we have noticed, at least earlier in the season for sure, guys trying to see what they could maybe get away with, but hard to measure it until you actually have a ball hit to you, and then you're part of the play and can be challenged for being against the shift rules.
Very interesting today. It helped out the Mariners for a big insurance run against the Royals, who dipped under 500. That's really the play now. Like Cardinals, 5 games under 500. If they go on a run, potentially they could finish over. Royals, that's the goal, I'm sure, now too. Both of them are kind of falling out of their respective races. And so you see, hey, just get a winning record and pack it in, see if you can build on 2026. I think that's the goal for both teams now.
That's where they are. I mean, the Royals have had a better record than the Cardinals, but I don't think either of them are really in play for a spot at this point.
Yeah, Royals are further back than the Cardinals are, despite having a better record.
Yeah.
That's how it's gone in both leagues. But we'll see what the final 10 days-ish of the season holds for those two clubs. Call or text us at 875-KTGR. All right, over-unders for Mizzou-South Carolina. Again, not at all unexpected that it's questionable on the availability report for Lenora Sellers.
Nope.
Not a single opinion, I think, on this show has changed as to what that means. It's still kind of status quo, I think, for that.
Yeah, it would have been noteworthy if it was anything else, but even a doubtful wouldn't have kept me from thinking he was going to play. But when he leaves a game last week and misses the bulk of it, and then is kind of sight unseen to this point in the week, he was always going to be questionable today. Tonight, maybe he's questionable again, or maybe they, tell us he's playing. I think he's going to play, if I had to guess, though. That's kind of been my whole expectation, and that's how the Tigers are preparing, according to Eli Drinkwitz too.
It would make sense, and there's even more smoke to it now with his optimism for playing. We're going to have Gabe DeArmond joining us, PowerMizzou.com at 5:25. I did see that he retweeted an account, Sports Talk Media Network. That's in South Carolina. They cover all things Gamecocks. And they say a source close to Lenora Sellers shared with us this afternoon that the South Carolina quarterback did practice this morning and should be fine for the Missouri game this Saturday. And that was yesterday that they said that. So, and said the first availability report would come out. It says questionable, not surprising. I would guess that it says questionable today. Anything between questionable and probable on Friday, and then he's probably not on there on Saturday for the update they do then.
Whatever it is, he's going to be their quarterback. So I feel pretty confident in that. Yes, which is fine.
So,
I mean, that's what we thought would always be the case, and I don't want to see anybody get hurt. And I've heard from some Mizzou fans this week who would make the case, and I don't necessarily disagree, although I think there's maybe more nuance that can be added to the conversation. But they've said, I wouldn't want it any other way, because at least this way they won't be able to use it as a way to discredit the win. If Mizzou should emerge victorious, you can't say, well, you beat South Carolina, but you did it without they didn't have their quarterback. That does feel like the kind of thing that people would use against Mizzou. My thought on that has kind of been, Mizzou at 10-2 to me will be enough. I know that there's not anything concrete that I have to say that, because we don't know what the other teams are going to do, but I'm pretty confident that it'll be enough. And so I don't think we'll really be talking about strength of schedule stuff as much as we thought we would. But if we are, that's at least one thing that you can say, all right, you're getting South Carolina's best guy. So you can't look at that and say, well, that win doesn't really count in Mizzou's favor if you're trying to look at resumes at the end of the year.
Well, if you're talking about Mizzou being undervalued in any of their wins, I think that's very possible, even if Lenore Sellers plays, because they might just say, "Oh,
sure.
he won 100%. It wasn't actually Lenore
Yep.
Sellers."
Oh, it's
they'll
we
find
know
a way.
the script.
They will always find a way. But where do we put over-unders for Lenore Sellers in this game?
Yeah, great question, because I know they're not going to be out there.
No,
I mean,
definitely not. No,
They-
we're probably
that-
on our own there too.
We're probably on our own. It's always a challenge on Thursday with college football numbers. The more Mizzou has gotten like more of these prominent billings and top 25 rankings and things like that, sometimes by our showtime, you do get some numbers trickling out for player stats. But looking now, there's not a lot. Well, we got a little passing prop thing. Yeah, we might have a couple things. I got some Purdue stuff anyway. So we got some Mizzou stuff. We got some Mizzou stuff. We don't have South Carolina stuff because of, the nature of, and nobody cares about this unless you're like a real big degenerate like me. On this website I'm looking at now, unnamedsportsbook.com, you wouldn't even be able to bet somebody's under. They're currently only posting for you could bet their overs. Like you can't fade somebody, but you can believe in a player, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of money to be made in betting unders is really the reason behind that. And so it won't be until later in the week that they like really fine tune those lines, and they'll see kind of, does anybody sharp kind of bet a big amount of money? Okay, maybe before we let people bet an under, we should adjust what the line is going to be. And so you can bet over on basically 10-yard increments for certain guys on this particular website. I'll look at another one to see if we can get some real unders, but this will be good enough to be able to give us an idea. For sellers, though, we're on our own. 9.5 is the point spread, though. So I told you Monday, this 13.5 stuff is not going to hold. It is like the smartest I've ever sounded when it comes to sports betting. And here we are at 9.5,
Here we are at 9.5, but it started at 7. And so there's still like that.
There's a distinction to be made from that, though, as well. It didn't start at 7 anywhere you could have bet it other than the one place that posted it and saw the line shoot up. And what happens is in America, a lot of those other sports books will look to one or two to say, hey, what are they doing? And then they kind of make their lines off of that is how it kind of goes. And so the whole market was like 12.5, 13.5 before, like anywhere. If you're in Illinois, if you're in Kansas, if it were post December 1st in Missouri, you may not have been able to access that 7. It happened so quickly. That's like those supercomputer nerds that are like 7. Nope, that's wrong. And they'll pour money on until the line kind of settles. But you're right. There was a place where it opened at 7. That was so instantaneous, though. It very quickly added like a full touchdown. But people clearly, which is weird.
Here's the thing, though.
Going to play, but that was.
Here's the thing about that. We've basically said on this show in the aftermath of that game they played against Vanderbilt, even if Lenore Sellers stays in that game, doesn't get knocked out, it's probably close, but Vanderbilt probably still wins. And so if that's the case,
yeah, I agree.
Then you undervalue South Carolina a little bit. And even if it opened at 7, I could have seen it, even with no Lenore Sellers injury at all, people may be looking at the Mizzou side and saying, well, South Carolina looked worse in their game and Mizzou hasn't looked bad yet. And so let's see what the Mizzou side can do as far as value to us. And I could see the line moving up from 7 to 9.5 with no uncertainty as to what Lenore Sellers'
I agree with that.
Status could be.
I think you're right. It would never have gotten to 13.5, which is why when I tweeted about it and every reply said, oh, the Sellers isn't playing. That's what the sports books think. I was like, I'm just telling you the number's wrong. And it's not to say Mizzou won't win by 2 touchdowns, but this number will not hold, and it hasn't. Yeah. It may end up closer to the 7.5 that we're kind of talking about originally, because maybe for whatever reason you would think that the people that make all that money in Vegas would know that there's a rivalry here between Drinkwitz and Beamer, and they're not going to just tell you day one that Sellers is in there. They're gonna drag this out the entire week.
We'll say this though. And I saw this on CBS Sports when they were making their picks. Mizzou 6-0 against the spread. Last 6 against South Carolina, even with last year's game, because they were 10-point underdogs in that game.
It's so crazy that we felt like that's a game to go win, and they were such a massive underdog in that game last year. You're right. Yeah, it's been a dominant effort by Mizzou against South Carolina in recent years. Like I know there have been like the dozen years ago we could talk about, but which, by the way, that Connor Shaw stuff is awful. Hopefully he's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
How
Gosh.
freaking eerie is that, though, that when we think about this rivalry, that's the first name that comes to mind. And he has this like awful medical event happening the week of the game. Like that weirded me out last night. The first thought being, my gosh, hope he's okay. Second thought is like, that's spooky. It's just spooky that happened when it happened. But obviously, hearing that he's in stable condition is wonderful. South Carolina, they're going to rally around that guy. I tell you what, they did it before. So, don't think that they're not going to look to turn to any bit of motivation that they can find. You obviously hope the guy's okay, but it is one of those things where you go, yeah, that's kind of spooky when in a game that everybody's counting out South Carolina, they're going to go, hey, Connor Shaw did it once for us, and now let's go do it for him. I'm just saying, like, that's just a very, very strange aspect to this story.
Yeah, that was
But when it comes to
but you're right. Again, the update was just as of this morning, he's of stable condition, but hopefully,
which is not a lot of information, but hopefully
we don't even know the
news on
condition that he suffered.
Right, stable
like that.
So believe that's still a serious situation that you need some prayers there. But as it pertains to the current quarterback of the Gamecocks, Lenora Sellers, he started out last season with modest passing numbers and always had the rushing element to his game. He was throwing for the 353 was the passing yardage for Sellers against Mizzou, was his season high for him last year. What makes him dangerous is the ability to do both. We're going to take it as, all right, if he clears a concussion protocol, that's still my assumption. Could be wrong, but I'm going to assume he's just going to be, what he is if he clears the protocol, which is a guy that can beat you with his arm and can beat you with his legs. Where would you set a passing line, knowing, what we kind of know at this point about the Mizzou defense?
Yeah, I have a guess. I would say 219.5.
And I would say, and Sellers hasn't looked the same before the injury, right?
No.
We're talking about just only 209 passing yards against Virginia Tech. Only averaged 1.9 yards per carry against Virginia Tech. Now, there may have been some sacks in there. 4 sacks kind of changes the numbers on that. Against South Carolina State, he was 11 for 19, 128 yards. Vandy was off to a better start, 6 for 7 passing for 94, but then had the injury. Also did throw an interception. I think over for me on 219.5 because I have the ghost of last year still in my mind, where like it's a combination of knowing what his ceiling is, that we had to endure his ceiling very up close and personally, and I do think the Mizzou secondary is the weakness of the defense. Until proven otherwise, that is the one area that I think you can get. And that's not like...
And it's the strength of South Carolina's offense. Like, that's the other part of it. They cannot run the ball. Like, Sellers can run it. I don't think they have a traditional run game that is that much of a threat to Mizzou's front seven, if you will, for that. So
So I would say over on that. But I'd probably go over 249.5 as well. I think they will be able to throw the ball. This is going to be a closer game than people anticipate. It will be a fight. It really will be. But yeah, I just think you can't look at his 2 bad games to start this season and go, oh, he's a bum. No. He's going to be a problem and somebody that you have to reckon with. Rifling through some Mizzou stuff here. Prabula's number looks to be about 234.5 is an estimate for where I would say it'll open based on what I'm seeing on some of these sites.
Yeah. I like
What'd
over.
you do with that one?
I like over. Is it going to happen?
It feels like a good line.
It does feel like a good line because Mizzou should establish the run in this game. They should be able to.
It's always their bread and butter.
And it's what they've got to do in order to open up Prabula. Prabula has had he's gone above 300 yards, or he's averaged just about 300 yards in each of these games. He actually didn't get there in this last game. Like, he only threw for a bit, I think 170 something, or even less than that. Didn't need to. They ran for 400 yards.
Yep. By the way, that was Vanderbilt 177 passing yards is all they ended up with. I mean, there was turnovers
against
in this game
Carolina.
that they benefited from.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't run the ball. They had one big 44-yard run by not their main running back.
Right.
But otherwise, they were averaging, 3 yards per carry. Like, there was not a lot to that. Score was more lopsided than that box score would indicate. So I don't know that Mizzou's going to try to run the ball, but I don't know that it's going to just be easy street with that.
they're about as apt at doing it so far, I think, statistically, as South Carolina has been. I think they're like 8 and 9 in the yards per game so far in the conference. So, I mean, we'll see. There are scary guys on that defensive front for South Carolina. No doubt. You got to be ready for them. That affects both aspects of your offense. But I'll say over on Bo Pribula. I actually think it needs to be over for this game because that's how he's been leading this offense so far.
Yeah.
It hasn't just been like being the dual threat guy. I think it's been him more so getting more than 75% of his plays, probably more than that, have been passing plays.
And by the way, I found a different site that it was a 230.5, and I'll take over on that as well. Lenoris, you were close with your guess of what it could be. 214.5 was is his listed line. He's like the jig is up. Like we know he's playing. You know what I mean? If he's being posted by a major sports book for a passing line, I think we know he's playing. So that's the expectation with that. Rushing for Mizzou guys, Ahmad Hardy is at 90.5.
Oh, wow.
Jamal Roberts. That's a big number.
Yeah.
That's a big number. Roberts is 49.5. I'll go over on Hardy because I think Bo clears that passing barely, but I think they're going to need Hardy to have a big game to win this game. This point spread is out of control. It's still out of control. It's going to be a one possession game. I think it's going to be a one score game.
Yeah, you're probably going to need to be right on Hardy if he's the guy that they give it to a bunch. But they'll use Jamal Roberts. I almost know if I want to go Jamal Roberts' number instead of Hardy's.
I'm going to go under on Jamal Roberts. I don't really know. It was interesting how much the split did favor Hardy in the last game, but it may have just been the fact that he broke a few longer ones, and so that's kind of the way that it played out. But, I mean, as good as Roberts is, Hardy is Heisman caliber, in my opinion. And so in a game like this, I do think the split is going to favor Hardy a little bit more than even again, the Kansas game. Roberts was stupendous, but he broke a couple of big ones. I think generally you're going to see more Hardy. And so 49.5 as the secondary rusher is, again, last week, Vanderbilt's lead rusher, one play for 44 yards. Their lead running back only had 41 total yards. Vanderbilt, who won 31-7. So you look at that box score for the South Carolina game, and it is crazy that Mizzou is still so heavily favored. I'll be curious for Gabe DeArmond's thoughts on it, too.
For sure. Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com will be joining us next here on The Big Show. But in the meantime, you can still give us over-unders that you want us to weigh in on for Mizzou, South Carolina. Call or text us here at 875-KTGR. You can also comment on our YouTube channel and let us know any over-unders that you want us to give our thoughts on for that. Lots, of course, to discuss when it comes to Mizzou football as they lead up for this game. Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com will give his insights on it all next. You're on The Big Show, KTGR.
Breaking down the Tigers, Cardinals, Chiefs, and more like no one else. The Big Show continues next on KTGR.
Everyone has their go-to game day outfit. Maybe it's a comfy black and gold hoodie or that old hat you wear because it still hasn't been to a losing game. Hi, this is Sophie Cunningham, and if you really want to stand out on game day, talk to the team at Betts Jewelers in downtown Columbia. Rock your favorite team's colors with a beautifully designed, one-of-a-kind custom piece of jewelry from Betts Jewelers in downtown Columbia, our hometown jeweler. MIZBETZ.
These beautiful moments begin at Betts. Begin at Betts.
Hey y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. Tailgating's gonna be hard this year. So if you need an easier tailgating plan, y'all, come on into Billiards. You don't have to pack anything. You can leave the cooking to us. We're climate controlled, and our burgers and fries are always a winner. Plus, our TVs are bigger than anything you're gonna bring to a tailgate.
Look it on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway.
Even downtown parking is easier than tailgate parking.
Shangri-La is proud to be a part of every black and gold home game this season at the Zimmer Tiger Tailgate. Swing by our tent to play games, win prizes, and hang out with Missouri's top team of cannabis aficionados. Want to join the fun? Pick up your free Tiger Tailgate tickets at any Shangri-La location. Then come find us on game day. We'll be bringing the energy, the prizes, and the community spirit that makes Tiger football unforgettable. Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
This is Kim with Hearing Aid Consultants. For For some, the thought of wearing a hearing device makes them feel old. In reality, improved hearing helps prevent accelerated aging. Untreated hearing loss not only can decrease your lifespan, but it can also lead to a faster decline in cognitive abilities and increase the likelihood of dementia. Come see us at Hearing Aid Consultants for your free hearing evaluation today. Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmake Repair Lab in Jefferson City. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
It was 2:30 on a Tuesday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing answered the call. It was a dismayed wife. Fresh off vacation, her and her hubby came home to a wrecked water heater. It had sprung a leak, a bad one. So while the plumbing team took care of that leaky water heater, Brian's certified restoration guide, Josh, with 2 decades of experience, came in to restore the area and stop mold in its tracks. Another day, another job, another expert added to the team. Ho hum. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
My name is Scott Concannon, and I've been a client of Phyllis Nichols for the past 5 years. We currently have policies with 2 automobiles, homeowners, and life insurance for my fiance. I think Phyllis is one of the few agents I've ever run into, even just my experience with other agents throughout Columbia. She will go above and beyond to not only help you out in your time of need, even if the smallest things happen, she will be there to help you out. Phyllis Nichols, she will go to bat for you. I think there's a reason why they call it the 12-round agent.
I'm Brian with Whit Print Shop. The relationship I've had with Zimmer Radio the last 10 years has really helped me define my business relationships, especially. The amount of small businesses that come to me because of radio ads has been insane. Everybody over at Zimmer Radio Group feels like family. They want us to succeed, and they do everything they can to help us understand the marketing side of radio and what it can do for our business.
Zimmer Communications. You know business. We grow business. ZimmerCommunications.com.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
Big weekend in Columbia, of course. Call or text us at 875-KTGR here on the Big Show to talk some Mizzou with us. Mizzou in South Carolina kicking off at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Andy and Brendan here, and joining us now on the Big Show to talk about all things Tigers as they get set for the Gamecocks this weekend. Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com. Follow him on Twitter at PowerMizzou.com and subscribe to his site to see all the insights with Mizzou football and all other things Mizzou sports. And Gabe, with this game, all of a sudden the story now really is on the other side for South Carolina and Lenora Sellers. And look, with the reports, there's more optimism growing that he should be able to withstand this and get out there for his team. How have you kind of read this situation, though, throughout this week as, the first availability report comes out and then we try to read the tea leaves?
Well, yeah, those availability report, it's great. It's great that we have those because the coaches completely tell the truth and are very transparent on them. So that's all we need. 3 nights a week, they're going to tell us exactly what's going on with everybody. As we learned last year following the Brady Cook saga, it was 100% spot on all the time. No, look, here's the weird thing to me. Nobody from South Carolina has said he has a concussion. I know that was reported, and that's what everybody thought. Nobody from South Carolina has said it. When's the last time you saw a dude have a concussion and he just stood on the sidelines in front of 80,000 people in bright lights in the second half? So I think Lenora Sellers is hurt. I'm not sure I think it's a head injury.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of speculating on that too, as to look, if he did have a concussion, then would he be practicing this week? You'd probably have to wait a little bit, right? Before you get through all the symptoms. I don't know the different protocols or things like that with it.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not sure college football has a designated protocol like the NFL does. Like, you have a concussion in the NFL, it's like you're not getting back to practice for a minimum of, I think, 5 days.
Right.
So maybe you can practice Friday and play Sunday. I don't think college football has a uniform rule like that. But again, it just wasn't treated like a concussion on Saturday night. Now, obviously he's hurt because he didn't play the second half. So then the question is, what exactly is wrong? How's it affect him? And if he plays, which I guess at this point everybody expects him to play, then how effective is he?
And then I guess what's baked into that, Gabe, is like, I would say probably a couple weeks ago, we might have all said about this game, hey, it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a coin flip as to, who's going to win. And then when you see, obviously trying to bake in whatever's going on with Sellers, that the point spread jumps to like 13.5 earlier this week and has sort of come back down since then. How much do you look at that? Obviously, if you're Missouri, you can't, because this feels like kind of like last year's game felt like, and Missouri was a huge underdog in that one in the other Columbia.
Well, and the thing about Sellers is that, healthy or not, like, they just haven't played well on offense. Their leading scorer is their punt return. They were outrushed by South Carolina State. Like, they just haven't done anything well on offense. Sellers, Doty, healthy, not healthy, hasn't really mattered. They scored 17 offensive points against a terrible Virginia Tech team. I mean, Vandy and Old Dominion combined for almost 100 against that team. They scored 24 offensive points against South Carolina State. I mean, can you guys imagine if the Central Arkansas game was 38-10, but 2 of those touchdowns were punt returns? My message board would have just exploded, So I think the bigger picture than is Lenora Sellers playing is just, is this South Carolina team any good? Because I understand everybody goes through things. I mean, South Carolina last year early didn't look great, and then they caught fire, and they were one of the best teams in the country by the end of the year. So maybe that happens again, but this is the 4th game of the season. If you put out a 4 straight bad performance, it's no longer early. This is now who you are.
Gabe DeArmond at PowerMizzou.com with us on the Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. So, assuming Sellers does, in fact, play with Mizzou's defense and how they've looked to you, Sellers is at full strength, at least, the more talented quarterback, the most talented they've faced to this point. But from Mizzou's defensive perspective, how do you see that playing into what they do based on how they've looked so far?
Well, it'll be interesting because, I went into last year's South Carolina game saying, keep him in the pocket, make him beat you with his arm. And then he did it. I mean, credit to him. He absolutely did it. 350 and 5 touchdowns, right? So he's proven he can do that. So my approach in this game, if he's out there, is, look, we know he's banged up. We're sending everybody all night from every angle. And we're making him make decisions, and we're making him move, and we're going to hit him as many times as we can. And if that means he doesn't finish the game, then, hey, you don't go out there trying to hurt somebody. But if their best player doesn't finish the game, so be it.
Especially when you don't know what the injury is, it feels like there's, the opportunity to kind of make him show something as far as what's ailing you and what are your limitations. Because if it's something that it limits him as a rusher, and you kind of can find that out early, if he shows an unwillingness to scramble, then that changes the game as well, I would have to think, and what they try to do with Corey Batoon's defense.
Right. And like we were joking, but there's a reason coaches don't tell anybody. Like, they don't want the opponent to know, hey, his wrist hurts or his ribs hurt or his shoulder, whatever it is. You don't want that targeted, so you just don't tell anybody what's wrong. He's just, I'd make the whole roster questionable every single time.
It's basically about as much usage as we get out of the availability reports as it is, but it is not a bad idea. I'm curious, though, on the other side of the ball, like the things we've seen from Missouri's offense, liking what we're seeing through the air, on the ground so far. But then I scaled back to the actual box score from the Vanderbilt game for South Carolina. It's not like Vandy put up a ton of yards, but they had the chunk plays, they had the turnovers, and they had everything pretty much go their way. How do you view the way Mizzou offensively with Prabula, Ahmad Hardy as that kind of 1-2 punch looks to attack the Gamecock defense based on what we've seen from them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a step up in competition for Missouri. They've played a half a team so far. They have looked phenomenal on offense. It looks sustainable to me. I think Ahmad Hardy is that good. He's as advertised. I think Bo Prabula has been better than advertised. I think, Kevin Coleman's the clear number 1 receiver. Brett Norfleet's a weapon. The line has been good enough, I think. Maybe you can nitpick and say there could be some improvement there, but somebody's going to have to show me they can slow this offense down, because I haven't seen it. And now that doesn't mean it's not. I don't expect Missouri to average 51.8 points a game over the course of the season, but I'm fairly confident they can put up enough points. Like, it doesn't look like last year where you went in knowing some games you were just going to have to win 17-14.
Gabe DeArmond at PowerMizzou.com here on the Big Show KTGR. What kind of test then is this for the offensive line in particular, especially with Dylan Stewart up front and this front that South Carolina, look, they produce dudes year after year.
Yeah, it's a good front. I think they'll face better. South Carolina lost so much to the NFL last year. Most of it was on defense. And I don't think they've replaced it at that level. I talked to our guy that covers South Carolina a couple days ago, and he said, look, we knew coming into this year, the defense would probably take a step back. And so what was expected was that the offense was going to take a step forward and help balance that out. And that part hasn't happened. The defense has been, I think, probably what they expected, maybe even a little better than they had expected. And then the other side of the ball has just let them down.
So, Gabe, against Kansas, we kind of saw the ways that the lack of Blake Craig was maybe impacting things for Mizzou. And then you finally give Robert Meyer a chance to try a kick of, some distance last week. We saw how it went. How do you view that whole situation right now for Mizzou?
I'd have liked to see him get another chance in that game because, look, it was his first kick. I'm sure there were nerves. Maybe it was just a bad kick. Maybe the snap was weird. Maybe the hold was weird. I don't know. So I'd like another chance. If you send him out there and he does it again from 40 yards, then you have your answer. Then you just know we can't do this. We got to do something else because once can happen, twice can't happen. But I still don't really know. I mean, I don't think you can necessarily feel confident if you have to kick a 40-yard field goal, but there's going to come a time you have, like, one of these games this year is going to come down to, can Missouri make a 40-yard field goal? I don't know which one it is. Maybe it's this week. Maybe it's another week. But it is going to happen at some point this year. And, like, hey, perfect world, Missouri's up 17 points in the fourth quarter, and you get another low-pressure opportunity at it. But the low-pressure opportunities from here on out are basically against UMass. And
that's it.
Maybe Mississippi State, but they're a lot better than we thought, And again, once you get that far into the year, I mean, especially if you already have a loss, then every game's for your season, So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, there is more. It seems a bit more urgency on this game based on how the back half of Missouri's schedule now looks based on some of those teams. So how in the context of this, do you kind of view it now with Mizzou's schedule being perceived as, the weakest in the SEC at least, but now it'd probably be a little different.
Yeah, I saw a graphic. I don't know who it was from, and I don't know how you figure out strength of schedule through 3 weeks, but like Missouri was 10th or 11th or something as opposed to 16th. But I came into this year viewing this as a 5-game season for Missouri: South Carolina, Alabama, Oklahoma, Auburn, and A&M. I said, you got to go 3-2 in those games, and you got to win the rest. Vandy and South Carolina have kind of now flipped. This game is now in the, you kind of need to win this game. I mean, because of what we've seen out of South Carolina, and they just haven't looked this good, all that good. And Vandy's better than we thought. Auburn is probably better than most people thought. A&M might be better than people thought, and Oklahoma might be better than people thought. So, that second half of this, really the last 7 games, I mean, you get to Alabama, and there's not a game I can promise you Missouri wins. Now, there's not one I promise you they lose either. But, odds are you're probably going to get tripped up once or twice. The margin for error needs to be all in those last 7, and it really can't happen Saturday night if we're talking about playoff and stuff like that. Now, look, you lose Saturday night, you can still go 8-4, maybe even 9-3, have yourself a nice year. But it's kind of hard to see losing to this South Carolina team and then being in contention for all the rest of that at the end of the year.
Gabe DeArmond at PowerMizzou.com here on the Big Show KTGR. What's your score prediction?
I picked a couple different ones. I like to do that, but I'm in the neighborhood of like Missouri, low 30s, South Carolina, 17-20, somewhere in there. So, right around probably a 2-3 score game. But look, in the back of my head, I've seen enough of these games, and I know how this series goes. And like Lenore Sellers is still a really good football player. South Carolina still has guys. It is early enough in the season that like maybe they're going to figure it out, and you don't want to be the team on the other side when they do figure it out. So I'm picking Missouri something like, I think I did 36-20 for my official prediction, but I'm not at all going to be surprised if it's a decent amount closer than that.
We'll be very interested to see how it goes on Saturday. Gabe, what's new at PowerMizzou.com?
Good question. A lot. Busy time of year, right? It is a lot of football this time, obviously, but got visitor notes up on kids who are going to be in town this weekend. Aiden Chronister coming in for basketball. Cody Goodwin's got a really good feature story up on Kevin Coleman. I wrote a little bit about the defense and how they basically only played a game and a half so far this season. So all that stuff. And hey, man, never miss the message board.
The message board, and even the basketball content. I saw Drew put up a story that he asked GPT the thoughts on Mizzou's roster.
Yeah, I don't understand how that works, but it had a pretty solid prediction for Missouri. So,
it probably just got its information from your site and was like, okay, that's what the people in the know are saying.
it just went through like all the sites that cover all these teams, and kind of pulled it together and said Missouri should be 24-9. So I feel like 24-9 would be a good year. And then you bring in Jason Crow and who I want to call Aaron Crow all the time, but Jason Crow and Tony Bryant. And there you go.
There you go. Gabe DeArmond at PowerMizzou.com. Again, go and subscribe to Power Mizzou to see the great work from him and his team during this football season. Follow him on Twitter at PowerMizzou.com. Great to have him here on the Big Show, KTGR. Thanks, Gabe, for coming on. Hope you're well. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate you guys. See you Saturday.
You bet. It is 5:42 here on the Big Show, KTGR. I mean, I've asked ChatGPT a few things, and sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it isn't, but that was an interesting read.
To be able to discern when it is and isn't, but really, like when it's something like a sports team and you're trying to predict the season, ChatGPT probably goes, okay, who covers Mizzou? What are they writing about? Okay, it seems like this is what's out there, and then it just, I will say, like, there's some value in it if you're able to discern, like, okay, this is obviously flawed, and here's why. But if you're going in about a topic you have no idea about, like we know about Mizzou, and it's like, that guy's not on the team, and they might have thought he was this, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. He's graduated. Why that can happen. And so for somebody who's just using that as the only thing, it can be a little bit reckless, but it's kind of fun to, take a peek and go, okay, here's what it thinks, and take for that what you may.
Whatever it is, it's out there, and ChatGPT will find it. I can't even say that, man. Gosh. I'm an old.
It's okay.
But
either way, we are
875-KTGR. You can call or text us. You can text in over-unders. You can text in still play fade eliminate questions to us. 573-875-5847 here on the Big Show.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to Lee'sTireCompany.com. First SEC availability report released last night showed that Lenora Sellers, South Carolina starting quarterback, is questionable for their game against Missouri coming up this Saturday. Sellers was knocked out of the game against Vanderbilt last Saturday for the Gamecocks, but multiple reports are saying that there is optimism around his availability for this weekend. Mizzou, meanwhile, trying to make it a 4-0 overall start and win their first SEC game of the season. Kickoff set for 6 p.m. at a sold-out Memorial Stadium on Saturday. The Yingling Tiger Game Day Show begins at 3 p.m. right here on KTGR. Baseball from this afternoon. Royals lost 2-0 in the rubber game to the Mariners at home. They fall to a game under 500. Their final regular season home series will be this weekend against the Blue Jays at Kauffman Stadium. Meanwhile, the Cardinals off today. They close out the home schedule this weekend as well at Busch as they host the Milwaukee Brewers. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Shangri-La Dispensaries, with 2 locations in Columbia and 1 in Jefferson City. Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. Visit them at ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking the potential for a few strong storms tonight that could produce up to 60-mile-per-hour winds and some small hail. Rain will continue as our severe threat diminishes overnight. We'll see temperatures falling into the low 60s. Tomorrow, it's a little bit cooler. We'll have partly cloudy skies, a mostly dry day with high temperatures in the low 80s. We could see a few more showers and storms on Saturday. A lot of dry time during the day with highs in the mid-80s. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Join the biggest party of football season at KTGR's Tiger Tailgate. Download the KTGR app and find a full list of locations where you can pick up your free Tiger Tailgate passes. Then come party with free food and drinks 2.5 hours before each Mizzou kickoff in front of Mizzou Arena. It's our Tiger Tailgate with Dive Bar, Bud Light, High Noon, Sing Zang, Lucky One Lemonade, and Mid-Mo Water Solutions. Find out where you can pick up your free passes on the KTGR app.
Hey, it's Andy and Brendan here with Underdog Fantasy with this weekend slate of games. I'm sure you're looking through now at your Underdog app and seeing which picks you want to put down in your entry. And if you haven't already, well, what are you waiting for? Download Underdog and start making picks and winning money, Brendan.
That is certainly something you could look to do for Thursday night with the Bills battling the Dolphins. We've talked about it on the show, just how much the Miami Dolphins are struggling so far this season. I think that manifests into a Buffalo blowout on Thursday night. And in a game script like that, give me backup running back Ray Davis, former Kentucky Wildcat, higher than 24.5 rushing yards. That will be part of my entry on Thursday night.
That is a good way to play it. And hey, if you have other favorite players that you want to put in your Underdog entry, we'll just go higher or lower on their stats for this weekend. Put together that entry, and if you get all those picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your money. It's that easy. Be one of the millions of fans that have already won billions making plays on Underdog. Download the app today and sign up with promo code KTGR to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code KTGR. Must be 18 or older and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
This weekend, cancel your plans. Brunch is calling at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Start with biscuits, not just any biscuits, local made, buttermilk, sweet corn, even gluten-free, smothered in scratch-made gravy, pork sausage, or the chorizo. Don't forget the loaded biscuit, fluffy omelet, drenched in gravy, stacked so high it's basically brunch art. And then there's the Dive Cristo, smoked ham, house-made raspberry jam, gooey cheese wrapped in a flaky puff pastry. The Monte Cristo wishes it was this good. Brunch, Saturday and Sunday only at the Dive Bar in Columbia. Don't just eat, experience.
Hi, I'm Michael from the War and Treaty. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. Only Novo Nordisk makes FDA-approved Ozempic. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5 milligram, 1 milligram, and 2 milligrams.
Huge savings on Dell AI PCs with Intel Core Ultra processors are here, and they're newly designed to help you do more faster. They can generate code, edit images, multitask without lag, draft emails, summarize documents, create live translations, and even extend your battery life. That's the power of Dell AI with Intel inside. Upgrade today by visiting Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Hi, I'm Tristan Colon, Mizzou grad and 6-year NFL veteran.
I'm Charlie Stickland.
And I'm Sarah Stickland-McDonald of the Stickland & Stickland Injury Law Firm.
In football, home field advantage can make all the difference.
The same is true when choosing your injury lawyer.
We're locals. We know the courts, we know the towns, we know the people.
Just as I protect my team on the field.
Our family will protect your family.
When sorry just doesn't cut it.
Push back with Stickland & Stickland.
You know that old driver in the corner of your garage? The one half jammed into an old golf bag that's now serving as a spider hotel? Yeah, somebody wants that driver, you know. Play it against sports. They'll pay you for the gear you're not using. Golf equipment, fitness gear, baseball, softball, and more. Bring it in and cash out, or upgrade to something you need for the upcoming season. Play it against sports once your used equipment. They need it. So don't sit on it, swing on it. Play it against sports in Columbia. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play it against sportscolumbiamo.com.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
Well, tell us your thoughts on Mizzou-South Carolina for this weekend. Text in over-unders to us, 875-KTGR. You're on the big show with Andy and Brendan. Thanks to Gabe DeArmond for joining us last segment. Here on the big show, call or text us at 875-KTGR. A little bit, I guess, interesting. It's not really for us to know the major details on, but Gabe did tweet out a statement from Mizzou Athletics that they had put out saying essentially that Brad Luce, who was in the athletic department, is no longer with that athletic department, and he was part of their major gifts, essentially wing of athletics, and was part of making sure that the big donors got their gifts in and things like that. Obviously was a former Mizzou basketball assistant coach, and during that time, the Rally for Ryan game developed. His daughter, Ryan Luce, diagnosed with cancer, of course, but has beaten it and still fighting strong. The game has been fighting strong, and well, with Brad Luce all of a sudden not being with the department, that there's been a spell where that's happened, but he came back with Laird Veach from Memphis and now gone again. We don't really know why.
And and again, it's just, there's not really any details out about this. Right. Seems very much by design. Would love to know what happened. But the tweet you mentioned from Power Mizzou from Gabe yesterday, the official statement is, quote, Brad Luce is no longer with the department. We sincerely appreciate his efforts for Mizzou athletics and wish him well in his future endeavors, end quote. And Gabe put on there, I'm told there will be no further comments. When they drop a wish you well in the future endeavors, it feels like there's kind of something there, but we got no idea, as far as what may have transpired. There can only be speculation to that because, like I said, I think this is one that, whatever happened, it feels very kind of lawyer wrote the statement-y. So I don't know. I have no idea, but it would be, worth a mention because obviously when people think about him, they think about his daughter and they think about that game that has been such a great, force for good for so many years with the Rally for Ryan game. And I would hate to think that something like that would go away. But like I said, when a statement's that short, it's probably that short for some reason that is we're unaware of out in the public sphere. Yeah, we don't know. And so we don't know if we'll ever know more about it. We may not. I mean, look, they still did it when he was not with Mizzou and when he was at Memphis. And so maybe they still do. But he left in a normal way and then came back in a normal way. But it feels a little abnormal. But again, it's hard to really speculate much when you've got zero to go on. Right. And there's zero to go on in this particular instance. So, hope you say you hope the best for whatever situation, but I don't even know what the situation was. It just feels very unexpected. I don't think that's out of school to say this was not expected in the public sphere. All seemed to be just going along, swimmingly with his role. And so I don't know. It's one of those mysteries of the universe at this point. Yeah, and again, likely something that we don't need to know the whole details about because people. I'm not going to say that. I don't actually agree with that. All that. I mean, when there's journalism that can uncover something, that's the name of the game. So I would say it's not need to know. But if there's nothing to uncover, then maybe it's nobody's business. I don't know, but I wouldn't go as far as to declare that we know it's something we don't need to know. But we don't know it, and we very well may never know it. Maybe there is no it to know. I think that we've covered all the bases with that. We don't know. That people, that's how we cover the bases. Something that people do want to know. Again, there's a bizarre situation, and especially considering the timing of Mizzou playing South Carolina this week with Connor Shaw last night, the quarterback for South Carolina from 2013 that entered the game, came back, and they, of course, beat Mizzou in that one. Updates on him, throughout the day of he's in, I'm seeing from famously Garnet Sports, currently in the ICU, but stable condition. That was as of 5 hours ago. We're just going to continue probably to, keep our eyes on whatever those updates are on the other side of this matchup with Mizzou and South Carolina this weekend.
No, I really hope he's okay, pulls through and everything like that.
Collapsed on the field from what has
while
been,
coaching his
put out
kid
there.
too. Like a kid, like 9-year-old kid, and they're in a flag football game. Everyone's having fun. Man, you hate to see that, but
A truly harrowing situation, I think, is the way to phrase it.
Yeah.
I brought it up, but I was trying to make sure I could double back and find that this was from some sort of reputable outlet, and I believe it appears to be that Connor Shaw is awake and coherent. Is what one of the reports that I saw in addition to stable. Whatever. That's a report out of the Post and Courier in Greenville. So. Prayers up, obviously, for that situation. I hope his team loses this Saturday, but that goes beyond sports, beyond football. Yeah. That's talking about the man's life. So that's you hope the best for him and his family for sure.
For sure, and hopefully we know more about him getting better. And we'll see as Mizzou gets set to take on South Carolina. Something we are going to potentially know on Tuesday are the permanents in the SEC.
Yeah,
and
it's not permanent. It's 4 years, and then we'll
see how it looks.
Is interesting. What I hope that coincides with is like the 4 years, and then we can shuffle the deck of the other 6, and then kind of make so that the 6 teams you play who aren't your permanents can kind of alternate at some point.
This does matter with competitive balance, though, too, because if you get 3 permanents, and let's say they are all terrible through.
That's why they have
4-year thing. Yeah, they got to find ways to make sure everybody has an equitable schedule that way, but still
I think
protect
they'll want
the
those to stay the same.
Yeah,
I think they'll want those to stay the same. But to your point, if there's one that's way out of whack, they have to reserve the right to revisit them.
So I guess we'll find out Tuesday how the 9-game schedule at least will start to frame out for next year. Thank you for joining us today. We're back at 4:00 tomorrow. That's when you can tell us who you got. Between Mizzou and South Carolina, between the Chiefs and the Giants. We'll have Rob Vino of WagerTalk.com, our picks of the week, so much more. Join us tomorrow at 4:00. He's Brendan. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year.